Hey racers, it's Sherpa Dave here, and we are in for the first race of 2021 Season 2, which is a points race on Neokyo All-Nighter, a real sprinter's paradise, 24.3 kilometers total with 157 meters of elevation. 4 sprints before we hit the single KOM, and that KOM itself isn't hard enough to allow the sprinters to fall back and climbers to jump forward. So I think this is going to be a sprinters race all through. Let's start with the race on the page. Okay, so let's just have a think about what we're looking at here. It is a 1-lap race of the Neokyo All-Nighter course. Where can you score points? All over the place is the answer to that. There are FAL points at Castle Park Sprint Reverse. Then there are both FAL and FTS on the Alley Sprint. FAL on the Castle Park Sprint Forward. Then FAL on the Tower Sprint before we get to the Rooftop Climb KQOM, which is FAL and FTS. And I think what you'll see there is the 3 that only have FAL points available are the shorter of the sprints on the route today. So this is the first race of the season, and some of you, I'm sure, have not actually done a race on the Zwift Racing League before. So let's just spend 1 or 2 seconds talking about what those points are. Well, first off, it's important for you to know that the points you earn on the race aren't the points that go into the league scoreboard. We take the points from this individual race, tot them all up, and then rank the teams in your particular division. And then once you rank those teams, the points you get from that ranking go into the division. I'm not sure if that clears things up or not, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The important thing is still to get as many points as you can in the race. So, what are FAL and FTS points? Well, FAL is first across the line. The people at the pointy end of the race are the ones that get the points. The fastest 10 riders get points from 10 down to 1. Okay, FTS is fastest through segment. It doesn't matter where you are in the field, it's how fast you go through that particular preem that is important. So you could be the last person through, but if you're the fastest, that's what matters. And then finish position is also important. All riders get points for finish position, from 40 points for number 1 down to 1 point for people at the back of the race. Okay, so that's where all the points are going to be, and you can see on my little 2D rendition down below approximately where those points will pop up through the single lap of the race on Tuesday. Power-ups that are available, there are 3, as always. The draft van, which will give you 30 seconds improved draft effect. The aero helmet, which gives you 15 seconds of improved aero, and the always fun burrito that causes all the riders around you to lose their ability to draft for just 10 seconds. In terms of bike choice, the aero is the one that rules the day here. Despite having that KQOM in the way, it's not steep enough or worrisome enough that you want to consider a lightweight bike, so aero is the way to go. Leave that for a second or two. Of course, the most important thing, as I always like to say, the best way to consume all of these pieces of information is really through the ability to download. So if you follow the link in the top right, you can just download free of charge all of these files. So that's the race on a page, the DS notes that you can see now, and even the target times. So let's take a look at what I've done here for the DS notes. This is quite a long course. I guess it's 24 kilometers long. But I think what's really important is to know that it's pretty much flat between it's slightly undulating, but pretty much flat between the different sprints. And so what I've done is highlight the distances and then 3 points where I think make for great attack points outside of those sprints. So the sprints are at 3 kilometers, 7.8, 9.7, and 11.4, with the KQOM being at 16.8. And I actually did a second recon ride on Saturday to double check what those distances are from the pens. But I think the attack points there at 13 kilometers, there's a step up. You're going up an overpass. It kicks up for 200 meters at 4%, and I think that's a fantastic place to make a break ahead of the KQOM. Then at 15.1, and then a little later on as well, you go through a barrier and pick up a power-up, and I'm not sure whether we'll do that in 0 or not. At 22.5 kilometers, so only 1.5 kilometers to go, there is a slight bump up, but you can see that with the lightning bolt towards the end of my 2D map. And then the other important thing to know for attacking is you exit the arcade with 500 meters to go to the finish. And when we do the ride through towards the end of that, you'll see that I've got all the distances counting down until you hit the finish line, from 500 down to, of course, 0. All right, so that's the DS notes. Again, best way to use these is to download them. All right, let's take a look at the target times that I think you're going to need to hit to top your league. So I won't read them all out. I'll just leave them there for you. Onto the lap itself. I'm going to start us off with the countdown from the race I did on Saturday. Here we go, back to the recon that I did, and essentially it's going to be flat all the way to the first sprint, which is flat as well. Let's take a look at the course as a whole. There isn't really a lot to say about this, and in fact it's such a twisty course that it's hard to see from that 3D view, but this really is a sprinter's dream. You've got 4 flat preems in short order before you hit the only significant climb, which comes in around 17 kilometers. Big and heavy sprinters might really suffer on that KQOM, but to be honest, I don't think it's steep or long enough to really impact the race overall. Fast and flat all the way to 3 kilometers, which is where we get to the Castle Sprint. Now there is some confusion as to what the Castle Sprint is versus the Castle Sprint Reverse. So take a look when we get there. To be honest, doesn't really matter what the names are. So let's just jump in. I'm not going to belabor this, but what do you do if you want to help out the Sherpa Dave channel? Well, first tell all your Zwifty friends about the channel, like and subscribe, download the DS notes, of course, I think I've mentioned that once already, and last, of course, if you really want to, any coffee donations are wildly appreciated, but not absolutely necessary to enjoy the recons. If if you're like me, you are still slightly confused by the layout of the city. There's so many roads and lights that it's hard to work out precisely where you are at any point and how to navigate between them. It was a bit like that, to be honest, with New York till I went round it a bunch of times, but this is even more complicated. But we're approaching the sprint now with 300 meters to go. And you go around this square, and that's a really great landmark, 150 meters to the sprint. Take this turn in now, and there's the sprint in front of us. You can see that it's flat and it is relatively short, at around 300 meters. Through we go and pick up another power up. Pick up a power up. And now it's mostly flat from here to 7.8 kilometers, where we get to the alley sprint. A number of you have asked me to mark up where distances are, so you'll see that in the top bar I'm popping up distances through the ride as we go.
Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall, so why didn't you call? So many years has gone.
And as we go through this gate, we're actually hitting 4 kilometers of our total ride.
Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me?
Now we're coming up to the 5 kilometer marker. Just as we hit the marina there.
Can you feel me? Something in the air, always something in the air.
You can see how flat this is. There are slight undulations here and there of 1 or 2%, but pretty much until we hit the KQOM, or until we hit that little tack point before the KQOM, there isn't anything to speak of. You're sitting in the pack and just trying to hold position, really. There's our 6 kilometer marking.
I am back with a stolen identity. You know I see through anything. I'm a one-man army with a bitter sting. You give me
About 1 kilometer to go now to the second sprint, alley sprint. And that little hologram is a great marker to remind you to start paying attention to your position. And we're about to hit 7 kilometers.
whenever you are here. I see clear, shed a tear. Don't know if I can pretend. All the way to the end. You know the truth is hard to. I lost track of what I wanted. Ever since the party started.
This underpass is another good landmark. We're getting close to the sprint now, 300 meters. Less than 100 meters to the sprint mark. You can see it there. This is a 480 meter, slightly downhill sprint, and this one has both first across the line and fastest through segment points available to it. So if you're going for FTS, then it doesn't matter where you are in the pack, it's the fastest through. Alright, we're through it now, and it's mostly flat, not for long, to 9.7 kilometers, which is Castle Sprint going the other direction.
Don't know if I can pretend all the way to the end. You know the truth is hard to bear.
Heading back into the castle grounds.
You cannot seem to get to me.
Here's our 9 kilometer marker as we go into the castle grounds. And that means only 700 meters to the start of the sprint. A lot of these sprints are quite blind, but you can see the end of the sprint at the moment in the mini-map. You've got 200 meters to the start of the sprint. Get yourself all ready to go. And it says we go around this bend, here's the sprint. It's another 300 meters, but this one is slightly downhill. Pick up yet another power up, and away we go. It's mostly flat with some undulations till we get to the tower sprint at 11.4, and of course I'll count down the kilometers as we go. Alright, 300 meters to the sprint. I find this one hard to read its position, but we should see, there it is, Mount Fuji and the tower a little beforehand, 150 meters to go. This one is 300 meters, it does undulate slightly, and there's only FAL points available, so it's the pointy end of the race that are going to get the points on that particular free. So now it's flat till we get to that attack spot that I mentioned at 13 kilometers.
Inside this cage I linger, waiting for my strength to grow. Unwrap me from your finger. I'll be rising from desolation, constant condemnation, mental infestation, enchained by your vision.
You can see it's not much, but it does kick up, gets up to 4% on average as we go up here, 200 meters pretty much, and this is a great time to test the mettle of the competitors in your pack if you're at that pointy end. And you can see just, and this was just a normal day on the roads, but you can see riders are going ahead and going behind. Wasn't a race obviously, but you can see how different riders are approaching it. There we go, we go around the bend and it flattens out. But that is definitely a spot ahead of the KQOM where the pack will sort itself out a little. It's pretty flat, but there is some undulation between here and the KQM at 16.8 kilometers. Ignore that gate in the mini-map. I think it's below us. There's our 15-kilometer marker. Take a look at that gate there. We haven't gone through a preem, but in the race that I did, in fact in both races that I've done, I've picked up a power-up at that point. So be aware that you might pick up a power-up there, but I can't confirm it because we just don't know. We don't know whether or not the ZRL team will switch that off. 1.5 kilometers now until we get to the KQOM.
You can call me out when you're gone. It's me, no one else but me. Get the hint, you're out to the side. Come on, step away. You can call me out. You got excuses for
Here's our 16 kilometer, which puts us under a kilometer to the KQOM. And maybe some of you can tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce KQOM. If it was just KOM, it would be COM, but maybe it's just COM anyway. Silent Q? I'm not sure. Alright, we can see the KQOM in the mini-map now. And rooftop KQOM is just under 2 kilometers. It averages 3%, but that doesn't tell you the story because it ramps, as you can see from that 2D map, in a series of 7%ers and then settles itself into a more steady 3 to 4% rise for the remaining 800 meters. And it's a little flat at the top, so if you're holding on to a draft or aero, it is perfect to use in just that last 100 meters of the climb where it flattens out. Tactically, these little ramps up, as you can see I'm on one there, are really good to, again, test the mettle of everyone around you. People on the more tired legs aren't going to be able to hold you if you make a jump for it. And then brief seconds to recover on the flat before hitting another 5% in this case. Just on a personal note, that's the kind of climb I hate. I like a nice steady climb as you go up, but these little kind of bursts really kill my legs. There's another one at 7%. Now is a great time to take a look at the city skyline because you sure won't be doing it on the race itself, but the rooftop KQOM really does give you a beautiful view of the Neokyo skyline if you're into that sort of thing.
Tip of my tongue, there's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my
You can see we're right in the middle of that fairly steady 3 to 5% climb, less of the sort of the burst climbs. And we're actually almost as the top as we enter into this. I think it's a station. As we enter into this station, you can see it flattens out pretty suddenly to 2% and then drops from there. This is a good time to drop your power-ups. As we go around the bend, there's the gate. And we're through, and it's a 1.5 kilometer descent. That is the last of our preems. Now it's all about getting to the finish. We've got 2 attack points that I'll highlight for you as we go down.
and again.
Alright, so it's mostly flat now until we hit that attack point at 23 kilometers. But we are going to go through that sprint gate, same one I think that we went through earlier on, and just like, just there it is again, and actually we're going the same direction I think, just like last time, I got a power up on the race that I did here. So you may well get a power up, but I can't confirm it.
I went by your house, what a big mistake. But for a while I thought that I wouldn't break. I need something else to clear my head. Someone to tell me how to live instead. Just open your eyes and take my advice. Stop rolling the dice and just compromise. It's the chance of your life. Okay, try to be brave. You have so much to save. Take control of your own life. Right now.
Okay, here we go. 1.5 kilometers to go. We get a little dip, as you can see, to pick up some speed, and then it bumps back up. So this is a perfect time if you want to make a long range attack to surprise everybody.
Without any thought, I keep moving on.
As we enter the arcade here, it's 800 meters, and I'm going to count us down as we go through. It's very hard to see where you are throughout this course really, but particularly here because it winds around so much. But it's 800 from the start of the arcade and just about 500 from the end of the arcade. Back through the park where we did our lead-in, cross this zebra crossing, and it's 250 meters, down to 200 meters, 100 meters as we make that little curve. There's the finish, and you're done. I will leave you as always again with the race on a page, the DS notes and the target times. But once again, the best way to consume these is to download them, distribute them to the team, and go from there. I'll be racing, I hope, on Tuesday, and I'll definitely be DSing a team as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Between now and then, everybody, ride on.